Good evening, and thank you for joining us for the Year 9 Parents Information Evening. We're sorry that we could not have welcomed you into school, but we're glad that you've been able to join us virtually. My name is Mrs. Williamson-Jones, and I'm the new Deputy Head Pastoral here at Nonsuch High School. Before we get going this evening, I just wanted to cover some housekeeping information to help this event run as smoothly as possible. You would have noticed that this is a webinar, and as such, you have no video or microphone function. We do, however, have a question and answer function, so please do use that as you go along if you do have any questions for us during the presentation. We will come back to answering some of those questions at the end once Ms. Ferber has finished giving her information about Year 9. Please can I ask, though, that you do not ask specific questions about your child, but instead email Ms. Ferber or her form tutor. You would have also received information from us about subtitles. You can access these through the web-based version of Teams, not the app, and by clicking the square with the 2CC in it at the bottom of the screen. Finally, please do bear with us in the event of any technical issues. This is our first time trialling this software, and we hope that it provides you with a better experience. Now, talking about technical issues, we've already had one today in school, and usually Miss Cavilla is sat in her office, and I'll be sending her through to talk to you right now as the producer of this live event. However, tonight she's sat right next to me, so I'm just going to pass over to Miss Cavilla to welcome you to this evening's event.
Beautifully done. Thank you very much. Really warm welcome to you all. I know that this is all at one remove, but I'm so glad that a good number of you have been able to join us this evening. So I just want to welcome you to the new academic year. You are a cohort of parents who have actually in the past been able to set foot inside the building, not so for some of our parent and carer community in Year 7 and 8, but we do look forward to being able to welcoming you back again when we have the music tea and the autumn concert, and after half term, when more vaccinations have been rolled out, and when we're confident that the COVID cases are still very much under control at school, we really look forward to welcoming more parents actually physically back into the building. Our fantastic PTA that is organising fundraising virtual events like the virtual balloon race. But I think as well as their fundraising, it's a really important support network for parents. And so I'm sure you'll be looking forward to invitations to join in the PTA quiz after half term when we feel that it's safe to go back to face-to-face events, because I know that your parental network is a really important one to you too. So it just remains for me to share about 4 messages with you. So on the topic of communications, I'd really like to encourage more families to download the School Gateway app. Currently about 50% of our parents use this, and we advertise it every week in the newsletter. The advantages it has is that when you use the app to communicate about attendance or absence of your child, it records the information straight onto our school information management system. So it's much smoother for us, and it has added benefits for you in that the School Gateway app, you can also use it to see your child's timetable, credits, house credits can be seen there. It's got many other advantages that we would like to further develop, but we need 100% adoption of the app. So can I please encourage you to use that? This year, whilst there will be face-to-face advantages, we're going to continue with the virtual parent-teacher consultations that we did last year, and we're lengthening the sort of window of the evening to ensure that parents can get the full suite of options. And for Year 9, that usually entails us running 2 parent-teacher consultation evenings. I'll check that that's the case and come back to you on it, but I'm pretty confident it is, so that you can discuss options. Year 9, of course, is a very particular year, and we know, we're keenly aware that your children had considerable disruption to their experience of year 7 and 8. So this year, the focus for us is very much on supporting them in embedding their learning so that it goes into their longer term memory. So their ability to retrieve and recall information is key. And that's very much part of our teaching strategy to support them in laying the foundations for GCSE. Now in maths and science, and to a certain extent English, a lot of the GCSE content begins this year. So it's more like a sort of a 3-year course. And for modern foreign languages and the options courses, this year is all about laying the foundations, because you don't want year 10 to be a catch-up year, so that year 11 can then be the year where they're consolidating. So year 9 and 10 are developing the skills and knowledge, and year 11, sorry, is the year of consolidation. So I know that Miss Ferber will later go into more detail, a little bit more detail about the year 9 options evening. And that's all from me. So warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Miss Caviglia, very technically moving the camera back across. Okay, before Miss Ferber spends some time going through the important information you may need, I wanted to spend a short amount of time talking to you about the pastoral care here at Nonsuch. Apologies, I'm about to sound like Chris Whitty. Next slide, please. I wanted to start this evening by sharing with you our school's mission statement, and this can be seen on the screen. My aim as Deputy Head is to ensure that all our students feel equally valued and supported in their development and well-being, and to create an atmosphere that fosters positive relationships and mental health, promotes equality and celebrates diversity. Pastoral care is a golden thread that is considered in every decision that we take about our curriculum and academic development. We know that people want to send their children to Nonsuch because of our reputation and our academic success. But we work hard to be proactive in our care to ensure that every child becomes the centre of everything that we do. We believe that education isn't just about doing well academically and getting good grades, it's about so much more. It's about our students having the opportunity to thrive, debate, explore and evolve their thinking, both inside and outside the classroom. The world has changed drastically over the last 18 months, and world and societal issues have become important in education. But we're extremely proud to have such a diverse and welcoming community here, and we learn more about that community every day. As staff, we are developing and learning to build an environment where your child can thrive, regardless of their background, level of ability or experience. Ultimately, we're looking to develop your child holistically as a comprehensive citizen who feels a valued part of our community. Next slide, please. To achieve this, we promote the school values of positivity, respect, integrity, courage and endeavour. Not just amongst our student body, but we also expect this from our staff to illustrate those same values. This is what we call the Nonsuch way. Next slide, please. The last thing that I'd like to talk to you about is how important the relationship is between you and us. Hopefully the diagram on screen illustrates that your child is the centre of all of our thoughts. So how can you help us? Our Nonsuch charter that you have signed over the last couple of weeks is important. It lays out clearly the expectations that we have as a school from both yourself and your child, but it goes beyond that. We want you to work with us and not against us. We want you to engage with us and not stay silent. We want you to talk to us through parent engagement on events like tonight and through surveys so that we can find out how we can make things better. Our school is about more than just the academic education and the results that your child will receive. Help us to help them to become the best version of themselves and a valued member of our school community. Pupils become successful and develop holistically when we work together in unison. Now I'm going to pass over to Miss Ferber, who's going to talk to you in a little bit more detail about specific things and specific information to do with Year 9. Welcome, Miss Ferber.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Williamson-Jones. Good evening to you all, and I would like to thank you again for attending this virtual event. I'm absolutely delighted to be continuing as your child's head of year as they progress through the school, and I'm looking forward to continuing my work with such talented and diligent students. The last 18 months has been unusual and has affected everyone. I would like to thank you all for all the support you have given your children, in particular during remote learning in Year 7 and 8. It's clear that the year group have huge potential, and I'm looking forward to seeing your children taking full advantage of the opportunities throughout Year 9. The students are incredibly lucky to have such diligent and hard-working team of tutors, and this year we welcome Miss Brew as 9 Mercury's form tutor. If you have any queries or concern, your child's form tutor should be your first port of call, as they see them each day and know them best and would be able to help. If you have a subject-specific issue, then please contact their subject teacher. Our aim is to create a safe and happy environment in which your child will thrive. Students learn best when they feel comfortable and secure, and the pastoral system is therefore an integral part of the school. Heads of year work very closely together, so if I'm not around in the office, one of the other heads of year will be available to help your child. We also have a new pastoral head of care following Mr. Syed's retirement last year, Mrs. Williamson-Jones, who spoke earlier, is leading our pastoral team and ably assisted by 5 designated safeguarding staff at Nonsuch, who take the lead on child protection issues. We want to work with parents to give your child the support they need, so please let us know via the link on the website, email or phone the main school office if there's any issues or information or changes that we need to be aware of. Collectively, we are working together towards the ultimate reward, a dynamic, accepting, extraordinary young person. You can now see the other members of the pastoral support team who we have available to us in school and work with students depending on their needs. To support students, we have a school counsellor who works 3 days a week. If students need more pastoral support, students can self-refer, or I can refer them if they come to see me. We also have an Elsa, our emotional literary support assistant, who works full-time in school. Miss Campbell is available to work with students who are feeling stressed, anxious, maybe experiencing body confidence issues or friendship issues, or just need someone a bit more independent to talk to. So if your child would like to speak to Miss Campbell, they can make an appointment by coming to see me. Additionally, we also have the school nurse who is available for drop-ins every Thursday morning. She's available to see students about both physical and emotional health issues. And later this term, we will be welcoming Emma Sutton, a child wellbeing practitioner. Emma will offer rapid access guide to self-help interventions, which are structured on a set of which is a structured set of sessions based on the principle of cognitive behavioural therapy, CBT. This type of therapy can be very effective in dealing with difficulty with worry, low mood, perhaps exam stress. Again, students can self-refer or they can seek help from their teacher. Okay. I would now like to talk about the new way in which the PHSE programme is being organised this year. Following consultation with governors and parent governors, the school will have several occasions during the year when it will close early or start a bit later, as is happening this Thursday. The rationale for this is to facilitate further collaborative planning of lessons between staff. In order for collaborative planning to take place, PHSE sessions are delivered either on a Wednesday period 5 or Thursday period 1. The late starts and early finish dates can be found on the school website under news and events, then full calendar. This year we've put together a very comprehensive and wide-reaching PSHE programme to provide lots of information and support for your child's wellbeing and what can be best described as soft skills. The PHSE programme is a school subject through which pupils develop knowledge, skills and attributes they need to keep themselves healthy and safe and prepare them for life and work in modern Britain. We are guided by the PHSE Association and we cover broad topics such as body image, first aid, personal safety and staying safe online. The overview for the PHSE programme is available via the school website with a breakdown of each half term. Through the year, you will receive 2 data reports and be invited to a parent-teacher consultation evening, previously called Parents' Evening. The first data report is in November, followed by a parent-teacher consultation evening in February, and the second data report in July. The colours give some indication to how your child is performing. In Year 9, the students decide which subjects they wish to pursue through to GCSE level. As such, it is a pivotal year and one that students should embrace fully to ensure they make the right choices for their studies in Key Stage 4 and beyond. Take Your Child to Work Day will take place on an inset day scheduled for the 4th of January. Students will have an opportunity to shadow a parent or carer or other family member at their place of work on this day. Students at Nonsuch are very grateful for this opportunity and the time spent during PSSE reflects on their experiences and share with their fellow tutees. You will receive further information about this event via email later this term. Our offer for this year includes English Literature and Language, Mathematics, Triple Science, a half course in Religious Studies and a Modern Foreign Language. The option process begins in December, so you will receive a lot more information closer to the time, and the process runs from January to March. Your child will be guided by various members of staff, including our careers advisor, form tutors, subject ambassadors in students, as well as subject leaders. Now, I encourage your child to become involved in a variety of clubs and societies that have already begun in and around the school. These include the school play, the gym and dance display, which were both cancelled last year and the year before, unfortunately, due to COVID. The Year 9s are very luckily invited to apply to become ball girls at Queen's this summer, also perform their chosen musical instruments at the music teas that are planned each term. The complete list of extracurricular activities for this term is available on the school website. Follow the Wellbeing link, then extracurricular from the drop-down menu. As mentioned, students from Nonsuch and St Philomena's have a fantastic opportunity of ballgirling at the Fever Tree Championships, which takes place at Queen's Club in June. It's a very prestigious event which students who are fortunate enough to attend really love and enjoy. The Duke of Edinburgh Award scheme continues to be very popular and the Bronze Award is now open to Year 9 students. Full information is available on the school website. I should mention our external provider, Active, has been able to hold the expedition costs at last year's prices. The deadline to sign up is Monday, the 11th of October. Information regarding Duke of Edinburgh Award can be found again in Wellbeing section of the school website. Year 9 students are also able to apply for the combined cadet force. Their parades run every Tuesday from 4 p.m. to 5:30 at Sutton Grammar School. There is a combined cadets force website if you would like to find out more information about this. Mr. Ree and Miss Geraghty are our attached members of staff, so they could ask questions, they could direct questions to those members of staff if they have more information that they'd like to find out. And finally, I'd like to mention Friends of Kip Kellyan. Every year, Year 9 are given the opportunity to put on a charity fair where all funds raised are donated to Friends of Kirkcallion, a charity whose main aim is to support basic healthcare and educational projects in Kirkcallion district in Kenya. Last year, we unfortunately weren't able to run the charity fair due to COVID restrictions. We are looking at how we can do this later in the year in a safe manner, and I have no doubt that the Year 9s will fully get on board and take advantage of this opportunity to do us proud. Now, this year, more than ever, it's very important that we remind students to remain ambitious, remind them that they are resilient, that learning is joyful. More importantly, we need to remember the brilliant things your daughters have done and continue to do. We shall now answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms Ferber. That's brilliant. It's really comprehensive, lots of information. I realise that you are on a 20 to 30 second delay from us, so I'm just going to fill some airspace, hopefully, while you have the opportunity to write any questions that you may have that we can answer. A couple of things that might be pertinent. The first one is that we are recording tonight's presentation, and that presentation will be put onto the school website in the next couple of days, alongside the slides that Ms Ferber has put together for tonight's presentation. So you should be able to access that if you are having problems with sound, that I know some people had problems with at the beginning, but that might be because we hadn't actually started the presentation yet. And I know that some people are having a few people having sound problems during the presentation, and we think that Teams might be playing up tonight because there's a couple of glitches on the video as well. So just to reassure you that we are recording tonight's presentation, and that will be available on the website, on the school website, in the next couple of days, alongside the slides from this. If you do have any questions that you don't necessarily want to ask directly into the chat, though there is a private function within the chat, then please do email Ms Ferber afterwards, particularly if that's specifically about your daughter. Now, I've got a couple that are coming in. The first one is about, is school taking girls to Sutton Grammar School for CCF, or they have to travel on their own? I'm going to pass over to Miss Cavilla, who sat next to me, to answer that question. So it's about travel to Sutton Grammar.
Okay, well, the association with Sutton Grammar and the Combined Cadets Force goes back a long way. We've strengthened that association. We've ensured that we have a shared code of conduct, but the expectation is that the girls make their own way to Sutton Grammar after school on a day such as today, Tuesday, when they have parade.
Thank you, Ms Cavilla. There is another question here that you might be able to answer. What exactly is the RS half course? Do they study it for 1 year in year 10, and is it compulsory?
So it is compulsory to study RS in some measure, and that's part of our curriculum. So some students, the RS half course is what it says on the tin, which is it's worth a half GCSE. Those who opt for it find that it enables them to then take another option that they would like to do. So those who opt for the half course will achieve 10.5 GCSEs, and it means that they have the flexibility to take music or art, or just another option. They do the course over 2 years in half the curriculum time.
Thank you, Ms Cavilla. I'm going to bring in Ms Ferber now to answer another question. I'm just sending you onto screen. This one is about key dates for year 9. Do we have a list of key dates for year 9? If not now, can you just give some information about how they will be distributed? You will need to unmute, Ms Ferber, sorry.
Unmute myself.
Oh, there we go.
I can't unmute myself.
We can hear you, if that helps.
You can hear me? Okay,
yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Mute sign, it still says I'm muted. Apologies. In the previous newsletter, the key dates in terms of early and late finishes were shared. Later this term, there will be some key dates in terms of inset regarding careers, and In December, we will share key dates regarding options. I can, in the next newsletter, have a summary of the dates for when we have the reports, roughly of when they're released, as well as parents teacher consultation evening. Those are the main key dates of the year. So options, which starts in December, the closer to the time, there will be dates in terms of when the students get access to login, because we have a site for options, and when their deadlines are, so they will be set closer to the time, but typically the options deadline is close to Easter. Those are the main key points of the year.
Thank you, Ms Ferber. There is a couple of questions on the chat about extracurricular. We will answer the ones about CCF into the chat themselves. However, there was also one about extracurricular activities. In the newsletter a couple of weeks ago, under Ms Cavillier's part in the newsletter, we did highlight where the extracurricular activities are, and they are posted onto our school website. Under wellbeing, under extracurricular, you'll be able to access the very extensive list of extracurricular clubs that we are running this term. If you are having any issues finding that, then please do contact your daughter's form tutor and they'll be able to point you in the right direction. But that is on the website, and it is on it's very easily to find under the wellbeing section. There are a couple of questions about ball girling. What I would suggest you do, if you do have a question about ball girling in particular, which is run on a Friday night after school, the person to see about that is Mrs Holmes, and I would suggest that your child makes her way to see Mrs Holmes to ask information about that. I'm just having a look through the list, so sorry my eyes do divert to the side to try and find out some more information to do with that. Maybe a question for Ms Ferber. It's to do with Year 9 options. I'm just going to put you back onto the screen. Hopefully you can unmute yourself this time. When do we have to finalise selecting subjects for their options for Year 9?
The initial deadline is close to Easter. There will be a specific date that's shared with parents and students close to the time. We have a window towards the end of Year 10 where sometimes we have students who then change their minds, and we do our best to accommodate any changes. And this year, for the current Year 10s, all accommodations were made. And we also have a very small window at the beginning of September for Year 10 and 12 students for potential course changes. So the initial deadline is just before Easter. We have a secondary deadline at the end of summer, where if there is if the student has a last-minute change of heart, that we can try to accommodate any changes. That will depend upon class sizes, and if we're able to factor that in with the timetable. And then at the beginning of Year 10, we also have a potential for course changes.
Sorry, Ms Ferber, I hit the wrong button there. I'm just going to send myself back live to answer a couple of questions. We have had a couple of questions that have come in regarding PE kit, changing for PE kit, changing for PE and staying in PE kit, sorry, and having lockers reinstated. At the moment, we're reviewing all of those processes. So for the short term, we are staying in PE kit for both extracurricular clubs that are run at lunchtime and after school, and they will be staying in PE kit coming into school in their PE kit for their PE lessons. At SARS, that means that we won't be using lockers for the future, for where we're going at the moment. We are reviewing those processes regularly, and it's all to do with COVID and guidance that we're putting in place to try and ensure that we keep transmission to a minimum. I'm going to just return a little bit higher up the list to a question that Ms Cavillier is going to provide an answer to, that was asked quite near the beginning, and it was to do with everyone keeps saying child, person, they, when we talk, and the pronouns that we use, and we just wanted to explain why we did actually talk in those pronouns as opposed to using daughter, girl and she. We tried very hard to use different pronouns. I'm just going to pass over to Miss Cavilla to answer that.
Thank you, Mrs. Williamson-Jones. I'll also, after that, go on to talk a little bit about CCF and then the options process. So first of all, as proud feminists who see it as our duty to smash the patriarchy on a fairly daily basis, we are proud of our name, Nonsuch High School for Girls. We're proud of being a state-funded school. We're proud of the role that our school has to play, as there's still a 200-year gap wait until they believe that the gender pay gap is going to be closed. So there's very much a place for that. We support girls' education in our sort of sister school in Kellyan that we fundraise for. There is no erasure of the female in our teaching of specific PSHE concerns for girls, nor in our identity, but we do aim to use gender neutral language where possible, and that's part of our duty and our moral imperative to promote an inclusive environment that meets the needs of all our pupils, irrespective of age, disability, gender reassignment, race, religion, belief, sex or sexual orientation. So that's why we use those pronouns. CCF. If you've got queries about CCF, there's information on the school website, and in the chat we'll put the email of our colleague Miss Geraghty, so that specific questions. She's the CCF coordinator, supported by Mr. Ree, and they accompany the parades that take place in CCF, because I can't answer all of those queries. So we'll put that in the chat. And finally, there will be, when Ms. Fairber sends out key dates for the year, there's a natural progression to them. So the parent-tutor consultation, which will take place for Year 9 on the 3rd of February, we'll finish school early at 1:15, so that appointments can run from 2 in the afternoon through till 7:30. So that gives a considerably longer window, and the idea is to have discussions about options. It's followed by an options information evening. So, but very briefly, students will study our core. They'll take a maths GCSE, 2 English language and English literature. They'll take 3 sciences, biology, physics, chemistry. They will take 1 modern foreign language of either French, Spanish or German. They then have, they'll take either half or full course RS. And then they have 2 to 3 options, depending on whether they've taken half or full course RS, from which students often take one of the humanities, that's geography or history, and then an arts or practical based subject. So that's the very broad brushstroke. You'll find there are more details on the curriculum section of the website, and you'll get the full coverage on our options information evening.
If I could just keep you there, Ms. Cavilla, there's a couple more questions that have come in. One in particular talks about us providing you with guidance and careers guidance, and the school does have a career guidance programme in the lead up to your daughter or your child taking her GCSE options. Does the school, I've had a question about Unifrog, does the school use Unifrog for university and career guidance? If so, when will we be given the login?
Okay, so no, we don't for university and careers guidance. We have, so from year 10, students have individual careers guidance interviews with an independent advisor, which is statutory. And through the PSHE programme in year 11, there's a considerable focus on A-level options, and university choices, and we use the UCAS website, Informed Choices, and there's lots of input from the sixth form team and other students and alumni who come back and talk to our students and year 13s who talk about their choices. We don't use Unifrog. There's a question about the Frog platform, which of course is used extensively in computer science, and last year we were starting to develop our websites on it. But the Frog support is for the platform is not very strong, and we are currently in the process of we've just started looking at how we're going to shift our Frog provision onto MS SharePoint, so that from next academic year, we'll have academic sites for MS SharePoint where lesson notes and things like that will become available. The sort of provision that one can get through Google Classroom we'll be providing by MS SharePoint. We are not there yet, and I appreciate the point about consistency. We still use a student planner. We think that there is a virtue to that engagement with self-organisation that comes through the use of the student planner. But yes, we want to further develop a platform where the school is more open, just by virtue of being available sort of 24/7 technologically. So that's what we're working on.
Thank you, Ms. Cabillia. I'm just going to pop back over to myself just to answer a couple of questions, or not to answer, but to say that we will take on board the comments that have been made about the canteen, about carrying heavy bags with the lockers, about the parent carers at work on the 4th of January, and we will look at all of that feedback and the concerns that have been raised, and we will obviously look into that. As I said earlier, a lot of our processes are under development because it depends on what's going on with COVID and the guidance that we are putting into place to ensure that transmission is limited, or as limited as possible. But we will take that feedback on board, so thank you very much. I do have a question about Year 9 exams. Miss Ferber, I think I'm going to come over to you to answer this. Hopefully you will know the answer. When are Year 9 exams, and are they expected to sit them full exams covering all the work from this year?
I do not have an accurate answer for that, so I will have to get back to you regarding that. We do typically have end of year assessments in Year 9. We've had a slight change over the last couple of years following with the pandemic. So the last year was an in-class assessment, so this may change, but typically we would usually have an end of year assessment in subjects, but I will check and get back to you about that.
Thank you, Ms. Ferber. Just going to place myself back on the screen to come back to Ms. Cabillia, who's going to answer a question about what if your child needs some extra help for any subjects, how can she or who is she able to approach for that help? So I'm just going to pass once again very untechnically over to Ms. Cabillia.
Okay. Obviously the key answer is to her subjects teacher. The tutor as well is your child's advocate right across the piece. When we do the next data drop that generates your child's report, we'll be looking at what the picture it's giving us, and where there are children who seem to be struggling in 2 or more subjects, we'll be putting an action plan into place so that following that report there'll be more detailed information coming to you in the form of an action plan. But the best intervention we can ever do is in the classroom, and that's why there's a really big emphasis on lessons starting with recall exercises, recapping prior knowledge, and the teacher looking at the children, how they respond, And that's what's so great about being back in face-to-face teaching. We're gathering data every single lesson. And the most powerful intervention is when we've gathered the data in that lesson and used it to inform the planning of the next lesson. Now, later on in years 10 and 11, we also do put in extra interventions in the form of help clubs. But I'd like to say that the most powerful intervention is for a child to be well rested so she can be mindful and present in the lesson, 100% attendance, responding to feedback, and obviously that key relationship that's with the teacher in the classroom. By the time young people have had a full day of school and come home and have independent study on top, I wouldn't like to think that they're then also having excessive tutoring. So the help should be happening in the classroom, and where the child feels or you've got any concerns that they need further help or that isn't having the desired effect, please do get in touch with your child's tutor. We'll make sure that that information gets to the relevant person.
We have another question about advanced maths. Is advanced maths available at GCSE? And to link that into another question that we've had, which is, will children be divided into sets? And will parents be informed about sets and which subjects are setted?
Okay, we do not have much setting. There is light setting in maths. There is no setting in English. And from 9 into 10, they are arranged in 3 very broad tiers. The tiers are not driven by maths. They are worked on with colleagues across the 3 sciences and maths that look at how children have performed throughout the year. Our current curriculum offer is that the children, what traditionally happens is that later on in year 9, some children are invited to join a tier which is called the enhanced programme, where they do an enriched curriculum for maths and the additional maths qualification. For our current year 11, that hasn't been the case because of disruption due to the pandemic, and we're reviewing it for the current year 10. We are not currently making any decisions to change the curriculum provision that we currently have. But obviously, we just keep an eye on the pandemic and its effects. When the GCSEs were changed from the old A star to G to the 9 to 1, not only did the grading change, but also the curriculum content. And perhaps the biggest change was in maths, where content that had traditionally been in university at degree level was brought into A level content was brought down to GCSE. So the actual maths GCSE already has considerably enriched content. I appreciate that's a long answer, and there'll be more shared at the options evening, but we're not currently making a root and branch review of our provision, which would be for an enhanced maths tier that would do additional maths. I would like to point out that we get between sort of 85 and 88% of all the grades, and we're sort of aiming for 90%, are from 9 to 7. So whatever tier the girls are in, they will be getting really high grades in across the piece.
Thank you, Ms. Cavilla. Once again, we're getting quite a few questions into the question and answer function, giving us ideas of issues or problems. Thank you very much for that feedback. We really appreciate it. We will take on board your comments, even if they're written as a question, and we will react to them. And we will look at those as part of our decision-making process. We can't answer all questions. We're coming to an end now, so we're going to... Oh, sorry, Ms. Cavilla's just told me she can actually answer one more. So is it this one here?
Okay.
Yeah. So this question is, will the students be shuffled to different forms at any stage in year 9 and 10, or will they stay in the same form throughout?
Okay. Our current provision is that they'll stay in the same form throughout. Well, at least up until the end of year 11, and then it's all changed for the sixth form. The reason is to promote and strengthen our house system. And of course, once the students choose their options in year 10, their classes are very, very much mixed up anyway. The English groups all get mixed up, so they're not just taught in their tutor groups. So year 10 is a time of considerable social change and mixing in any case. So we don't change the form, so at least there's a sort of a form family continuity to go back to.
Thank you very much. There is one last question I'm just going to address about tracking of your child's progress until the first parents' evening. I guess this comes back to the school-parent relationship and you putting trust in us. We have a system in school very clearly designed through our pastoral systems where our heads of year do lots of work to ensure that your child is on track across all of their subjects. At the first data drop, they will be that we have in school, they will be looking at the child's progress. Any child that is flagging up as an issue in one subject will be dealt with within that subject area. Any child then that is flagged up across a number of subjects will be dealt with through the head of year to make sure that we put intervention in place, and we will make contact with you if we feel there are any issues. So there's a little bit of trust going on there in terms of us ensuring that your daughter and your child is making the standards that they should in terms of where we expect them to be. I know that there are a number of questions that we haven't been able to answer tonight. The list has been quite extensive. It currently sits at 58, and someone asked in the question and answer function if we can put a frequently asked questions information together. We are able to download all the questions that have been asked tonight, and I will send that document through to Ms. Ferber. And if there's a need for us to put information together to collate to come home, such as the year 9 dates, we will get that information back to you and answer some of the questions that have been done tonight. It would be impossible for us to go through all those questions. However, as I said earlier, we are going to put this recording onto our website so that you can access it. Now, we will remain online for the next couple of minutes. You are on a delay from us, which does mean it takes a little bit of time sometimes for your questions to feed through to us. Thank you ever so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you taking the time out to come and listen to us and to ask your questions and to engage with us. We really like that because it gives us an opportunity to talk through what we are doing and the education that we're setting out for your child. I hope that you have a really good evening, and hopefully we'll see you in school very shortly. We will stay online for a couple of minutes to answer any questions, and then the live event will end. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.